I'll probably have my camera on and off as I stuff my face, so no one needs to see that.
I
Uh,
expect the camera
I
to
don't
be
know. Maybe
on
having it
when you're stuffing your
recorded could be good to
face.
blackmail.
Oh,
Cool.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, I just had to take a moment to get myself together. My other session just finished 3 minutes ago, and I didn't want to risk microphone or audio cross-contamination between different sessions, which I'm sure we've all been in that situation where someone thinks that a certain app has captured a certain microphone, but it hasn't. Okay, so welcome everyone to the August 2025 Modern Management Meetup. So I guess, do we actually have a full ensemble today?
No, your own.
I thought your own was coming today.
He might.
He might be he's probably driving or
Vacation.
eating strip waffles or something.
He's definitely having the strip waffles.
Yeah. So welcome everyone. Hopefully we see Jerome come in soon. Hopefully I didn't miss anything too exciting in the pre-meeting chat. I joined on my phone and I sort of monitoring it, or I could sort of see everything sort of bouncing around there. And it's like, okay, we have people. That's a good start for today. So just a quick introduction on my side. My name's Mark O'Shea. I'm a Windows and still Windows 365 MVP. So I managed to retain both last month. So congratulations to me.
Yay, go Mark. You worked so hard for that MVP.
So next month we do the session on how you too can become an MVP. Get nominated. That's a next month's topic, get nominated. Then in 12 months' time, we'll see how did your nomination go.
Exactly.
Okay, Mark.
Okay. Steve and Doresh, do you want to do quick intros?
I'm Steve. I'm part of the Windows engineering org. I talk Windows and everything around that. And apparently I know some stuff about Intune as well.
Oh, excellent. So we can ask you questions today.
Sure.
Hi there. I'm Aresh. I'm a senior solutions architect at Dell Technologies. And just to beat Mark, I'm the first Windows 365 MVP in Australia.
Oh.
and we will talk about the MVP session next month.
Yeah, and I think I told you, like, I found out I was a Windows 365 MVP by accident. It was printed on a badge for an event that I was at. I didn't even.
Wow.
So I had to ask to verify, but then it's like, oh no, it's deliberate. That's okay. That means I get access.
Yes.
Okay, so hopefully, we see the fourth horseman of the apocalypse turn up at some point. Not too sure if he will or not, but we've got. I can see we've got some all-stars in attendance. I won't mention who those all-stars are. I'll just assume that everyone thinks that they are the all-star.
They are.
So I guess just for anyone who is new, we'll just sort of get people to do some introductions next. On the event side, not too much that I'm aware of here, probably just one. Now, the next section that I've got in here, recent and upcoming changes, is probably just more around some of the announcements that may have slipped by you that you weren't aware of, that generally are going to be like Windows or Intune or device management related from Microsoft. Trying to keep up with all the different announcements and what we need to pay attention to can be challenging at times. And then we'll jump into the main topic, which is the Windows 11 25 H2 conversation. And that one can be a really easy conversation. We can just say, yeah, just let Windows Update do its thing. End of conversation. I guess that's what we really want to get to. But obviously, there's still a few more things we do need to talk about. And then after that, we'll jump into the, for those of you who haven't joined one of these sessions before, we know that sometimes people have got some questions that they aren't necessarily comfortable asking while a session is being recorded, etc. So we make sure that we have some time in that general discussion section where we turn the recording off just for anything that might either be like sensitive related to your role or just something that you don't want recorded for future protection purposes. So with that, just if we do have anyone who's new, who wants to do a quick intro, etc., either feel free to drop something into chat, or alternatively, if you want to unmute, please feel free to do so.
Don't everybody rush at once.
Who's
Sean, I'm
this?
putting you on the spot.
I'll chime in because I keep promising Mark that I'll show up to this thing, and then I forget that it's on, and because I didn't put it in my calendar. And I finally did last month, and I joined and was sitting in the meeting like, what's going on? And then I looked at Meetup and saw that it wasn't on, and I was like, ah. But I'm here. So Sean, I'm currently working for Devicey. Some of you might have seen me at Workplace Ninja if you've been along to that. Like doing all things endpoint management, and so that's why I'm here to listen in.
And I think I saw you, when was it, a couple of months ago at one of the Disti CSP events.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to sort of say which Disti it was, but I'm going to get confused between one of the two that I think it was, so I just won't say them.
I can tell you who it was. I wasn't sure if you were deliberately just not, but
no, because I did the same session or a variant of the same thing for two of the ones that I think you provide support services for. So, and they're two that I tend to blur in my head, except I know one of them's in a convenient location in Sydney and the other one's in Kurnell.
which is more convenient for me.
So you don't live in
enough.
Sydney.
Well, I do.
That's not Sydney if that's convenient. That's the
I live
Shire.
I live in like the only gated community that exists in Australia. So
The Shire.
yeah.
Thou shalt not pass. Okay, so anyone else want to do a quick intro, and I won't interrupt or comment on your intros.
Sure, why not? Hey, I'm Eric, Jay, just kind of popping in. I've been popped into previous sessions. I'm in Sydney, kind of just contracting and device management, rollouts and so forth. And yeah, so I hope that's good enough.
Okay, so with that, I don't think anyone else is doing any intros. So let's jump on in, and if anyone does know of any other major events or any local events that are coming up, let me know. I've really just got Ignite 2025 in here as a placeholder for the moment. And I guess probably just the main thing here is not necessarily that a huge number of us will attend this, but probably just more in terms of the time frames for major announcements and that kind of thing. One of the things I like doing when you kind of know that something's in public preview or private preview and someone's asking when it will be released or when there'll be a big announcement, I always just say, oh, Ignite. Or if Ignite has already passed, I'll say, oh, it's probably build. So if you need a get out of jail free card, if anyone's asking you when you expect something to happen, just say, oh, wait till the week of Ignite. There might be some announcements there. But say it with a degree of confidence so that people look to you as a source of authority.
Don't give away our secrets.
I always just tell everyone, Steve told me that, and then there's confidence in that.
Yeah. Now you hear. Now that they're hearing this side of it, they're like, "Oh, that's just his way of palming me off." Yeah,
No,
but
it's
generally
not.
though, if you let's say like in your case, if there's something that you're not giving a specific time on, like you're in a situation where you can't win, because if you say you're not sure, people will say, I know that you're just holding it back from me. But if you sort of say, oh, stay tuned for Ignite, there might be an announcement there. You have not committed to anything at all with that response. So it's a really good response.
It's a good response to just say engineering time. We don't actually know what real time is.
Yeah. Cloud time. All the
Yes.
microservices need to be in sync.
That's right.
Okay, so anything else that's coming up, even like before
Yes.
next month, if there is anything else you want added in? So Steve,
Well,
you've got something?
We've got Workplace Ninja next month. Next
Oh,
month after,
okay.
in Switzerland. So that's October. And November there is no, October as well, I believe, is MMS Nashville.
Okay, so we'll get those in for next month. But I
Yep.
guess for MMS though, that tends to sell out really quickly, doesn't it?
No, so Nashville is the alternate, and it's not fully sold out yet.
Oh, Nashville is
Where
not Miami, is what you were about to say.
No, Nashville is not the Mall of America.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it tends to be a smaller event.
Yeah.
It's the
Okay.
simple answer. Whereas Switzerland's definitely will have been sold out already, because everybody wants to go to Switzerland to see the
bomb
hills.
shelters.
Yes.
And one
Exactly.
more Workspace Ninja US, December 9th, the first
Yes.
inaugural of the US event.
Yes. Which will be a 2-day event.
Today, 9th and 10th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then between now and then, there will also be a Workplace Ninja Australia event.
Okay, but we don't have dates published for that yet, do we?
No, we're discussing that tomorrow.
Okay. So let me know and I'll make sure we cover that off next month.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so this section that we've got here, the recent and upcoming changes, I'm actually starting to do something that I don't want to say that I questioned the value of, even though I may have at a point in time, but using the Microsoft 365 Message Center to try to stay on top of things that I'm aware of. And when that was first announced that the Windows announcements, etc., would be going in there, my immediate reaction to that was like, there are so many other places where I'd probably be getting my Windows updates, etc., from, that wouldn't be somewhere that I'd really be thinking about. But because that's somewhere that I have to monitor for a bunch of other things anyway, now it's turned into my go-to, what do I need to be aware of? What deadlines are approaching? So a belated great work to the Windows team for getting these updates in, because now, I guess it's just one of those things where the way that I have to approach it has changed. So I actually really like being able to go in, filter, and find what I need. So with that, and I guess sort of going back to some of the initial reason as to why I was not calling out, why are they doing it? But the bigger concern that I had was that if somebody was a Windows admin, they probably weren't looking at the M365 Admin Center, which may or may not be true. But there are also a lot of M365 admins who are admins across every single service, who need to be across all of it. And that's really, I guess, the situation that a lot of us are in, where we're not focused on one particular, service in here. So well done. Lots of good info in there. So let's bring up the first one. So these are ones that I haven't shared too many of these with Steve and Daresh yet. So they're going to be as surprised as everyone else with some of the topics we've got. These are just sort of quick talking points more than anything else. And I tried to keep them to things that are somewhat related to the Windows 11 conversation as well, rather than just random, here's one that's interesting about Office file format support. No. Okay, so the first one here is around people who aren't updating firmware on their devices will start to encounter issues in the future if they're using Eufy. Now, this is one of the ones where,
if they're running Windows 11.
Sorry?
Everybody's running Windows. If you're running Windows 11, you're running Eufy.
Yeah. So it's, but from there though, it's also once you start looking at servers as well, because people on the client side, for the most part, like not all of the, like all your major OEMs, you're obviously going to, or not obviously, but hopefully whatever devices you're getting, your firmware updates are being pushed out through Windows Update. So hopefully that's not too much of an issue. But as soon as you start getting into like workstation devices, people who are building their own systems, etc., people, even a lot of people on the server side, sometimes the approach there has been, if the BIOS or firmware is working, don't touch it. Leave it as is until something breaks. Well, June 2026, things will start to break.
All I'm hearing, Mark, is June 2026 is going to be the new Millennium Bug.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. It's how many. Yeah, I guess this is, again, one of those weird, it's going to be one of those weird point in time things where we're going to see a bunch of weird issues related to things that people just weren't aware of this one. But I guess the good news here, I don't know if this is good news, but to me it's good news is that it's not just a Windows thing, it's Eufy. It's the certificates in Eufy need to be updated. So anything that's using Eufy as a trusted path for booting is going to need these appropriate updates. So but again here, you can kind of see it's like I've got assumptions about the kinds of devices that are going to be impacted by this, but part of me also knows that even on like fleets of managed devices that can get firmware updates via WFB, etc., like I know that there are going to be a lot of devices out there that have not received a firmware update in X amount of years since whatever was installed on that device is what's still there. So this will be, I guess, the post Windows 10 end of support focus for a few organizations. But they've got other things they need to deal with first. Now, just a quick question. How many of you were, so Sean's dropped in. So devices that are isolated, etc. And in a lot of cases, they're the ones where people go, oh, well, it's isolated, therefore we don't need to update it. Because nothing ever goes wrong. Things never get accidentally attached to the wrong VLAN. They never accidentally get exposed to the internet or anything along those lines. So just out of curiosity, is there anyone who wasn't aware of this? I just want to get a bit of a feel as to, is this something that's well known?
I think most people weren't aware of it, would be my guess.
Yeah, I just stumbled upon it in a random Twitter post from Nathan McNulty. So otherwise I wouldn't have done.
So this is one that I think is this one has me a little bit concerned. Like not majorly. Most client-side devices, I don't think is going to be problematic. I think it's, what Sean's talking about where, things that are sort of sitting there behind the scenes that they're set it and forget it. Let's not worry about it. I think that's where we're going to see, some work will need to be done there. Okay. So maybe I should call this section PSAs, the public service announcements. Okay, what else is next? We've spoken about hot patch before, but just to sort of highlight that now hot patching is enabled by default when you are setting up new quality update policies in AutoPatch. And again, just sort of the recap, a quick thing on the AutoPatch side is that, it'll be things like the quality updates or the cumulative updates that would have the auto patch capabilities. It doesn't necessarily mean that your .NET framework updates or that your .NET framework updates still get pushed out, don't they? And your
Every
Visual
2 months.
your Visual C updates, etc.
Visual C typically you don't see as often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
.NET typically still needs a restart, though it's being investigated.
Yeah, but they're trying to sort of align the release cycle so so basically here with the hot patch, trying to align it so that if there is an update that's required from the Microsoft side of things, that it's like at the end of each quarter and trying to align other Microsoft products to that, which sounds easy when somebody says it out loud, but when you start thinking about trying to align all the different teams, their release schedules, etc., not the easiest thing in the world. So just because you've got hot patching enabled doesn't mean your system won't restart for other updates. And I think we did a session on that a couple of months back.
Yeah,
Sorry,
the
Steve.
big one that impacts the restarts, the driver updates.
Yeah. And firmware updates.
Yes.
To tie it back to the previous one. Or
exactly.
in the case of Surface devices, everything is a firmware update. Okay, exactly. So just another hot patch thing. This one's for Steve. Hot patching on your ARM64 devices or device. So just sort of knowing that option is in there as well. Now, the next topic is Steve's nomination. So, Steve, all yours.
Oh, okay, cool. What I'm going to quickly do, because I'm going to do it the easy ways, I'm going to quickly share my screen because I have some stuff I need to show in this. So one of the things that you're going to be seeing in Message Center in the coming days, so this is super, super hot off the press, is that we're changing the IP addresses for manage.microsoft.com. So we are moving from this big list of IP addresses that everybody loves putting into their firewalls and allowing access and everything to this list of 7 IP addresses. This is going to happen pretty rapidly. You'll see message notifications in the coming days on how quickly that's going to occur. But it's pretty important, and we're changing this for security to make it simpler as well. So there's a whole thing about it, and you'll see it in the Message Center in the next couple of days. But figure it's public on docs, so we can talk about it now, and making a point of that. The other thing to note is when you hit this endpoint now, let's grab this. We now have a paste and go. Okay, let me just quickly. So here's the fascinating thing. The client request ID, you can just put a random GUID there and it will bring back. You don't have to have your tenant ID there. But what this will do is it will bring back all of the endpoints that are available for your service. So this is where you can then go and subscribe to that, and it'll give you the list of IP addresses. And we now have an option in there for MEM or Intune, where you can limit it down just to the Intune endpoints that are required. That doesn't take into consideration anything that's associated with Android or Apple or delivery optimization or Windows push notification, remote help. All of this still needs to be added. That's just where it is today. So I also have a question that I would be curious to know from everybody on the call is how many people are able to use just IP addresses in their firewalls and proxies, etc., for bypass, compared to allowed to add DNS and FQDNs. For DNS, So
I
do
think
we.
modern firewalls are DNS. Like legacy stuff just allows IP.
Yeah, yeah, I know, Nick. The interesting thing for us is what we're finding is the firewall providers are charging extra for FQDNs and DNS. Is this something that you guys are hearing as well? Oh, okay. Um, yeah, so that's the public service announcement around this one is just want to highlight that we are reducing the number of IP addresses there and moving to the Azure front door. There will be message centers about it, and also a blog this week, I believe.
Yeah. And can you drop that link into chat that you've got there now?
I can indeed. Feel free to take the screen back if you want, Mark.
Okay.
Now Mark needs to get back to his slide.
So, no, this is your slide. This was the one you requested.
Oh no, I requested a slide.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I have evidence. I have
But
I have
you
messages.
have receipts.
I have messages that I could not consider creating copies in Photoshop to prove my point.
Cool. I'm just waiting for it to come up on the screen and I'll talk to it. Because I've definitely orchestrated all of this. Still hasn't come up, Mark.
Can other people see the screen? The sharing?
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. That makes me happy. It's not a me problem.
That's a me. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
It's popped out. I thought it would go back to where it was, but it didn't. Yes, so I did have this one. Inbox store apps. So how many people are have to make sure that their inbox apps are updated the minute the system is built because security is like, you must have this fully up to date, right? So it's a big conversation we have with at least 2 customers that are on this call. And their position is we need to have it fully up to date. And it's like, cool. Well, all media for Windows 11, almost said 10. No, it's not a plain 10. 11 and server will have the latest inbox apps installed in them. So from June 2025 onwards, when you get the ISO, it will have the latest for that month. So it's no longer going to be from when we cut the image 3 years ago. Is everybody happy about that? Excited? Yay.
Something that I haven't thought about for a while when it comes to things like the store apps is, are any of the updates delivered as Delta updates these days, or is everything just like full-blown download?
What do you mean by Delta updates?
Going back to the early days of store apps, etc., you'd be getting basically just the changes from the last version that you had, as opposed to it being a full download. And this was across a few different stores as well. So basically trying to sort of minimize the size of the download packages. But I guess these days it's just not as much of a concern. It's like, you don't have enough bandwidth, get more bandwidth. End of issue. Because it's probably also
DO helps a lot with that as well.
Yeah, probably also just easier to push down an entire new package than to get the Delta update and apply that to the existing package that's already deployed there as well. Yeah, so probably probably much faster from a time perspective as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so the next one is just to sort of mention Some of the recovery options that were added into 24H2 a couple of months back. So the unexpected restart UI and quick machine recovery. And I guess like nothing particular that I want to mention there, except that, people will start, users, well, hopefully users don't see any of these changes. Hopefully they don't need to. Hopefully they don't have any issues. But otherwise, just in case you weren't aware, just be aware that people will see some changes there. And
the important thing with QMR is there's all the IT admin controls in there now too. So you can go in and control how that works and appears for your end users. There are some good docs about quick machine recovery where you can go and simulate it on a virtual machine, just so you get an understanding of what it's going to be and have documentation that you can provide to your staff as well.
Excellent. And I think last but not least for this section. I'm
so happy about this.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess this is one of the perfect examples of, something that, when the term deprecated, people interpreting it as meaning it's not there anymore. And it's like, oh, no, it just means it's not supported any longer. As we can see here, it's had 8 years from when it was deprecated through to actually finally getting removed from this. And there's a bunch of good documentation around preparing for this, like including things such as your script migration. Are you going to 5 or to 7, etc. So there's plenty of good good documentation around it. Hopefully, again, this is one of those things that I'm hoping that it's not a surprise for organizations that this is happening. But again, this is one of those things where that there are a lot of organizations out there that haven't even thought about anything here because nothing has broken yet.
Yep. The other one that should be on top of everybody's mind that we are in the process of removing is VBS. VB script is going away. It will hopefully be phased out soon, but there's a whole heap of stuff around that. We've been public about it. The problem that we face is that there's still parts of the operating system that uses VBS. The most notorious one being SL and GR.
Okay. Okay, so let's jump in to, I guess, the major
Quick
topic.
One
Sorry?
On this, Mark,
Yep.
question for Steve. Just like the way it got deprecated, by any chance there's plans to include PowerShell 7 into the build as well at the same time?
No. Do you know why? Mark knows why. He's not willing to admit, though. Mark's talking on mute. Intentionally. Yeah. Because PowerShell 7 is built on .NET Core, whereas PowerShell 5 is on the full version of .NET. And the reason why you still need to have PowerShell 5 is for things like our good friend PSADT and various other things that are working at the lower layer of the operating system. There are ways to get .NET Core to work down to that level, but there's asterisks and there's a whole heap of fun stuff around that. So it's why we still have PowerShell 5 in the OS, because it needs to have that lower level integration, whereas 7 and 6 were built with the premise of .NET Core.
Gotcha.
So they're lightweight, they're portable, they can go onto any operating system. Just for everybody else's sanity and understanding of why.
Okay.
would it be nice to have a full version of PowerShell for 7? Yes, but that's not the design. And also PowerShell is now open source. So
Interesting.
changing all of that's hard.
Thank you.
The one that would be nice for us to remove is ISE, but good luck with that.
Okay, so let's jump on into the main topic. And I guess before we get into anything too specific here, probably I thought it would be worth just sort of jumping in for a bit of a conversation around, the underlying shared servicing model. And I guess, going back to what we were sort of talking about, kind of like the offhand comment that I made at the beginning of the session around, your Windows 11 25H2 plans are hopefully just let it happen, because a lot of it may have already happened. You're just not seeing the end result of it just yet. So I guess this is starting to tie into, I guess, some of the promises around updating on Windows and new feature updates going back quite a few years, where instead of it being that effectively the brand new image being pushed down to your device, with all the components being replaced, how can we make it something that becomes more effective, speeds up the process, etc. And in this case, it's something where, as we, if we sort of stick down to the bottom here, is basically, the goal here is over time that there'll be, you've already got some of this stuff installed. It's just not activated yet. It will then get turned on over time. That once the device is restarted, you see those new features. Now, in terms of the build numbers, and I guess some of these processes in general, in my environment, I don't really see a lot of this stuff because I'm running insider builds that kind of break a few of the rules around this. So, and if any of you are on Canary, it's a bit of a weird situation because you think Canary is going to get everything faster, but it doesn't. It might get some of the underlying architectural pieces faster, but it's not actually getting the feature enablement faster. So sometimes you'll see some of the other channels will get new UI options, new features, etc., lighting up first in Insider. But because basically at some point I'll probably switch away from Canary, but because I've got everything on Canary at the moment, I'll just stick there so I've got consistency and not go crazy trying to figure out why does this machine look different to the other machine. But you still get a degree of that with the A/B comparison testing anyway.
So a question for the audience: how many people here have onboarded their organization to Windows Insider for Business? Go ahead. Wow. How many people know that we have a Windows Insider for Business? Got a couple. Wow. Interesting. So one of the things with Windows Insider for Business, sorry, Mark, I'm going to go down a little rabbit hole here because I think it's an important one, is what you can do with Windows Insider for Business. I'm just getting the link. Is you can go and sign up with a global admin for your tenant, and then when you go to Intune, you can just go and select the build that you want to deploy to that device via Windows Update for Business, and it will go and enable that without having to go and sign in with a user account. What it also allows you to do is have any user in your organization sign in with your corporate account to Insider for Business rather than to have an MSA to test out a new build or a new feature. So do recommend having a look at it, getting it set up. It's pretty straightforward, very rudimentary. Literally, you just go sign in with the global admin and go tick a box and authorize. And then it allows you to just move your corporate devices to Insider to test out new functionality before it comes out. And you're talking on mute there, Mark.
Sorry, yeah. Probably just the other thing to sort of watch out for with this is, make sure that if you're going for some of the faster frequency release versions, that you're targeting users who have patience and understanding.
Yes.
Because, you don't want to
target everybody.
Yeah, you don't want to put too many people on Canary, because when that team's got their act together, or when that release is on fire, you're basically getting a new Windows install. Even though it's an in-place upgrade, you are getting a full in-place upgrade each week for extended time periods. So it's not one of those things where it's a restart, you're back in action 2 minutes later kind of situation. So just make sure that anyone that you're targeting with that is that they understand that, and that's part of the trade-off.
The important thing that I'd note is you don't target Insider to your whole organization.
No.
This is where you're wanting to test out a line of business application before the next version of Windows lands, things like that. And this is how you can be pre-prepared for changes coming down the pipeline. And it's going to become more and more important and prevalent. So I do recommend having a look, especially if you're doing Insider today and you're not using Insider for business in the corporate world. Definitely sign up.
Okay, so just seeing if there's anything else on here that we need to talk about. Probably just this final bullet point here. Effectively just saying that, they're not saying that you don't need to test things with these with the new releases, but instead, focus on testing the new features, check their applicability, what controls, etc. you've got, as opposed to, organizations that are still. I'm being careful with my wording here. Let me I have to mentally rephrase what I was about to say. Organizations that are very, very cautious and take a traditional approach to new OS updates, and they treat a feature update as a new OS, and therefore they put it through the barrage of tests that they would have put a version to version change in Windows through in the past. But I think we're seeing a lot fewer of those. I'm sure Steve probably still has to talk to a few, and you probably have to rope in Apishore, etc. Occasionally. But thankfully, I'm not seeing anywhere near as much of, oh no, we need to test it like a new OS. And I think, for me, part of that is a generational change in terms of the people who are actually managing Windows devices in organizations. The people who used to deliberately, sorry, again, bad choice of words, the people who, for whatever reasons, created additional work for themselves prior to rollouts to keep their jobs secure, for whatever generic purpose. I think I'm giving away a little bit too much of my thoughts on some of that, and conversations I've had to have over the years. But probably just the big takeaway, though, and going back to that insiders conversation, etc., around this is, this is not the same as if you put someone on Office Insider. So even though Office Insider will give you a weekly update as well, it's a non-restart update. It's a click-to-run update. It just happens, and the only time you even know it's happened is if you haven't shut everything down or restarted your machine in a while. It will eventually let you know you need to restart Outlook or Teams or whatever. But this is something, especially when you're going down the insider track to test some of this stuff out in advance. Be aware that there are restarts and potentially lengthy restarts in there as well.
Yes. Because it's an OS swap every time there's the update.
Yeah.
It's not an enablement pack.
Yeah. Yeah. And any of you who've sort of seen any of my delivery optimization sessions where I generate ridiculous amounts of delivery optimization traffic, the secret to that is to go on the Office Insider fast and onto Windows 11 Canary, and you will get many, many gigabytes of traffic to highlight in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, next one, auto patch. Steve, do you want to talk about this one? Or do you want, actually, I'll talk about just the first part. If you then want to fill in just with more, fill in some of the gaps. Because with this, it's something where I guess we could sort of think of upgrading to Windows 11 25H2. Or actually that first one, we can probably even remove the 25H2 and just make it Windows 10 to Windows 11. Because I don't know, I've got a feeling that if organizations are moving from Windows 10 to Windows 11 right now, I do not think they are going to go straight to 25H2. I think that would be, that's another 5 years of planning work they've got that they can do there. So with this one, I guess just here, ignore the 25H2, even though it could be an option there. But this first part is really just around, making sure that you've identified the devices that are actually capable of moving over to Windows 11 there. And whether that's using, the Azure Readiness solution, whether it's taking a look at what you're getting inside of your Intune analytics or any other solution you're using for analysis, just to make sure that you're targeting those groups directly. But for the second one, if you're already on Windows 11, the devices are Windows 11 compatible, I guess it's just hopefully just business as usual for you. You just have to decide on how aggressive you want the rollout to be. So,
Pretty much.
Steve, over to you, Steve.
So here's one that I prepared earlier. I've just dropped a link in the chat to my blog that I put out a couple of weeks ago where we talk about this whole process. It steps through the methodology on how to go from your traditionally managed platform to cloud native Windows 11. And as part of that, we talk about using the Windows auto patch groups and the processes associated with that. We detail in the blog, we actually link to this docs page, where we talk about auto patch groups and giving you the ability to do the update rings where you can sequentially deploy those updates out for your feature updates. Why that's important is because it gives you that ease of safe deployment practices without having to think about it, because we handle all the groups for you. It's in the security groups where the policies are applied. So that's the pitch for auto patch. Yay, go auto patch. It's awesome. How many people have signed up and are using auto patch today? I know at least one customer on the call is.
I thought you were about to say one customer in Australia is.
Well,
there is at least one, technically, yeah.
They were the case study. No, that's good. There's quite a few number of people that have put their hands up or put the thumbs up, so I'm pretty happy to see that. It makes life a lot easier, and the goal is basically you don't have to think about it anymore. So.
And just that, the other reminder about auto patch is remember that it also lights up in business premium tenants now as well. It's not E3 as the entry point. Now, is it also in education?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that one.
Yes. So it's the same level of access that you get with business premium in education now.
Okay, so for the next bit, Aresh, I want you to talk to a slide you haven't seen yet. It's pretty simple, so don't worry. Okay. So Win365, what are the considerations you think people should have around, their 25H2 adoption?
So if you are obviously provisioning something new, it's like a no-brainer. Please ensure in the drop-down you select 25H2 during deployments. For existing deployments, you have multiple options the way you can go about it. You can do auto patch. You could, because it is integrated with Windows 365, you can just do normal Intune based rollout as well through rings. So you have a couple of options. Few of the customers that are evaluating auto patch, however, haven't gone into auto patch. They just use regular Intune based updates, and they are right now on 24H2. So definitely whenever 25H2 becomes generally available, they would do the general cycle of the upgrade. Usually the rollout these days, especially in Windows 365 world, works out very easy because it's all Microsoft backend. So the rollout is way smoother than physical devices. So that's how we saw how customers move from 22H2 to 24H2, and I see no difference in the movement from 24H2 to 25H2 in the coming times. But just the general note, as I said, new provisioning policy, ensure you select it. Existing one, you have multiple options, either through auto patch, or you can do the regular in-tune cycle of upgrades and just get it during your next patching cycle.
Okay, so you actually touched on something that I wanted to get a few more details from on you, which was the, whether, the perception or the reality from, you were saying that your customers are finding that it's, they actually view it as easier to move up to, new, basically rolling out feature updates in Win365 versus having to worry about doing it on client devices. Is it just that there are so many more unknowns on the client devices for them?
Yes, it just adds up a additional layer of per device testing. So basically, let's say your customers have Dell, HP, Lenovo, all three. Now, what they really have to do is they have to run a cycle individually on each vendor. And if at all they had like two variations of the same laptop, they run a test cycle through certain test devices, and hence the additional testing that gets involved versus in the Win365 landscape, everything is backend Microsoft. So it just works way smoothly than expected. And in fact, there's no bandwidth constraints, nothing like it works.
Okay, no, that's good. So so I thought I knew that 25H2 wouldn't be in there yet today, but I still had to go in and check. And I think normally what we see is even after it's announced, it doesn't mean, even when, GA or whatever, is GA still the correct term we use?
I think the reason why it doesn't come here immediately is because it's a very specialized so-called golden image.
Yeah.
Master image that gets created and gets offered through Microsoft in the gallery. So it's like a pick and choose. Like if you use this image, it's highly optimized automatically for you.
Yeah, they're not just slapping an ISO in there and saying,
That's right.
Here you go for deployment.
It's a highly optimized image for running VDI.
Okay, so let's take that one and add some complexity to it, and we'll switch over to Azure Virtual Desktop. So what do you think is, what's going to be different in an AVD environment versus Win365 in terms of the customer responsibilities?
So essentially now everything you own it compared to like Windows 365 where all the backend, as I said, was Microsoft owned and managed, just few bits here and there that you have to manage. But in the case of AVD, now the entire onus is on you. And the new, like the differentiator that gets included is multi-session. So basically now you are after a Windows 11 25H2 multi-session. And you'll have to wait until that gets generally available with the multi-session host. And same logic, basically, it's a little different in AVD. You probably would have custom images. So over and above, once you take the gallery image, so once it comes in gallery, you might take the gallery image and slap a few more applications on top of it. That would make your custom image, and then you roll it out during your next session host maintenance. And that's how mainly it would get roll out. It won't be like a upgrade. You can do a feature upgrade just like any operating system. It's not like it's not supported. It can work, but the way I have seen typically getting rolled out is like a fresh image and part of the maintenance, perform testing, and then just rolling it out in your session host AVD as a new version. But of course,
Multi-session, yeah, multi-session doesn't support feature updates. Cumulative updates, yes. Feature updates, no. You can't do it. You can't go from 10 to 11. It's not supported.
yes, not 10 to 11. No, 10
So
to 11.
feature updates has fallen into that same umbrella. So my curiosity here, because I've seen some unnatural experiences, is how many people are on the call are actually using AVD? Are you using Azure Image Builder, Packer, or equivalent to build out your images?
We have Azure DevOps create a template, then gets sent off to Azure Image Builder. And then the intent is to basically have that running every couple of weeks, but doesn't seem to happen, unfortunately.
Yep, I get that, but you've moved to. I'm not going to use infrastructure as code as the explicit terminology, but you've got an automated workflow to publish the images, and then you just rotate them through.
And then I'm pushing the guys to make sure that all the pools are set up with the session host configuration, so we can just set the new image and have it auto update or auto replace the hosts.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly the golden path that we recommend, because we've got a number of customers where they've had partners come in and gone, oh yes, we've built our custom image bespoke, and now you need to get to Windows 11. And they're like, yes, now it's going to cost you a new project to do that. And it's like, that's not the design for AVD, and why don't you have it? And so just want to call that out. 10 to 11 is a OS swap, and feature updates, I believe, for multi-session are OS swaps because of how they work. But this is where with AVD especially, please just do it as a Packer build and just send it out that way and do your updates that way, and don't use device management.
Couldn't agree
Aesthetic
more.
devices.
Yeah, so for me, when it comes to, like, I guess, like the mentality that I've had to get over with this, or the approach I've had to, move away from, was going back to like the early days of, you get your own Windows image, you get an image, everyone gets an image. It was just so much more IOPS effective to do replacement images than to try to just the disk grind that would occur through actually trying to update all of the images in a timely period. It was just so much faster to lay out a new image for each client as needed, as opposed to, and this is going back a few years. So we're talking about, extremely limited, if any, flash storage. It would have all been mechanical storage. So, so unless people were spending millions, their IOPS would have been in the thousands. But I guess now with the way that all this stuff is distributed inside of Azure, etc., that would not, you could still deliberately lowball the Azure storage or the Azure disk options you're using, etc. But that would be a deliberate choice for you to go down that path to make it that unusable. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the final official piece. So I guess that brings us into the general discussion, which is where the recording stops. And the
Yes, please.
the more random questions and comments can be asked without fear of possible future retribution. So let me just stop the recording and we'll jump into that.